So Elon Musk and his newly appointed minion, that's CEO Linda Yaccarino, are making some strange, borderline suicidal moves in their restructure of Twitter. These include the return of shadow banning, policing disinformation at the behest of the EU and advertisers, and acting a bit like Stasi. So let's look at the Silicon Valley getting back to business as usual. Before we do, I just wanted to promote something on the website, and that is our free articles that go out. I've done one on the weekend because everyone insults my music tastes, and I thought I'd vindicate it by looking at existentialist themes in Zoomer music. Not everything is Gnosticism, but weirdly enough, he's a bit of a demonologist. And so we have free content on the site, but if you pay us £5 a month, helps keep the lights on. You get all the other premium content behind the paywall as well. And if you want to talk about what premium content you like, just a reminder, we have this survey that we've been asked to plug. The last question's a bit of a league table about which presenters you prefer. So all the YouTube commenters who can't stand me and Dan can go have fun with that one. Can't quite keep crying. Right. Anyway, let's get onto the announcement. So Elon's spoken about Twitter recently, and he said that the sad truth is there are no great social networks right now. We may fail, as so many have predicted, but we will try our best to make there be at least one. So he's trying to say there are some noble intentions with his restructuring of Twitter and the rebranding of it as X. Now, as a Gen Xer, I'm sure that you're familiar with getting blamed for everything. But I do think the X branding is horrendous. I understand the intention behind it is to make an everything app.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a running theme, and I might have some thoughts on this segment actually, because the Brokenomics, which just filmed, which will be going out next week, is actually on Elon Musk. And I spent a bit of time talking about what he's doing with X, but there was definitely an X theme to this guy. So if you look at he bought a McLaren F1, and the number plate was X.
Space X.
Yes, his son literally called X.
Yes.
Well, some weird variation on
Final
that.
Fantasy game that you named.
Yes, he tried to call. Well, he sort of. He had a payment company which became PayPal that was called X.com. So it's been a long running theme of the man's.
Right. And so he's going to try and consolidate pretty much everything into an everything app, which will be your go-to for media, music, subscription based long form
He
writing.
definitely thinks big. I mean, he's. I mean, we haven't seen the fruition of what's come about from Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink and all that kind of stuff. But the scale of the ambition with each of those companies is significantly more than most people think it is when they look into it. And so it is sort of playing to his strength that he's got this big vision which he's trying to implement on.
I have seen people that have said that he acquired Twitter because he wants to make it the means of instant communication between Earth and the future Mars colonies that he wants to make, which is quite an interesting angle for it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much that. I mean, it could be. I mean, my immediate reaction when he bought it was, first of all, he wants to train his AI algorithm on it because this is the largest real-time natural language processor going on in the world at any time. So that'd be enormously valuable if he wants to get into AI, which he has. He's launched XAI, presumably. That's probably it. And also, there was the sort of original vision for X.com, which is a sort of a bigger version of everything included. So, but actually, I will just acknowledge it is a hell of a lot better than it was 2 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. Low bar, admittedly.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that what we're doing is we're cresting the curve of where it's been fun and usable. Because the person he's appointed, because Linda Yaccarino echoed this sentiment, but it's a very hollow echo. Linda Yaccarino says there is an important place in the world for X. Now, reminder, Carl and I think it was Harry did a segment on Linda Yaccarino's checkered past. She was a former executive of NBC, I believe, and also she was one of the heads of the World Economic Forum, one of their chair people. So she's a regime plant, and it's slightly eyebrow raising that Elon has appointed her. But you think it's something to do with placating the advertisers?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I'm no fan of this Linda person. She is sort of standard identikit globalist managerial type. But she also had great connections in the advertising world. And basically the situation that he came in is that Twitter was losing 4 million a day when he bought it. It could well be. It was a lot of money that it was losing. He was losing on a regular basis. And even the world's richest man, there is a limit to the amount of money that he wants to sort of give away, how many Tesla shares he wants to sell in order to prop this thing up. So I kind of view it as he's doing what he needs to do to basically keep the advertisers in place, and she's like the right pick to do the advertising job, keeping them on board and keeping them happy while he builds his other plans. And then I kind of imagine that she will either bend to his will when he starts to move it in the direction he wants to do, when he kind of changes the revenue model, or she possibly go. I don't know which of the two it is, but yeah, no fan of hers. But I think he was doing what he had to do to stop the business from hemorrhaging cash.
Yeah, I don't know what the board structures are like, but I would think that might be a risky strategy because the
Oh,
board.
the board structure will be him and a couple of his mates who he
Right.
let stay on.
Okay, so
Yeah,
he could just jettison her when the time comes.
yeah, it wouldn't be a
All
problem.
right. Well, so let's start off with some positive news. One of the things I've seen recently is that they've gotten rid of their tweet cred system. Now, I wasn't really aware this was a
I
thing.
didn't even know that was a thing.
So
What was that?
this is something that Elon's acknowledged. He says tweet cred is possibly the worst product name I've ever heard, and it will be deleted, not renamed. What it does, it's a covert algorithmic shadow banning tool that looks at it sets you a social credit score based on the accounts that you frequently interact with, not just follow or what you tweet out, but it's
Right.
what you like, it's what you retweet, it's what the algorithm
Ah,
itself presents to you in your suggested feed. So it'll put a black mark against you as a form of guilt by association, and so
okay.
it'll use that to derank you. They're getting rid of that, so that's
Oh.
a step in the
Well, I
right
quite
direction.
like the people who come up in my For You stream. I mean, they are
Well, yeah, but
quite dank.
yeah, but they're not getting rid of that.
Right.
They're getting rid of you being deranked because of who you associate with.
Ah,
So
right.
that's
Okay.
positive. That's
Yes.
positive development. There's a new one that is a bit of a fulcrum. There's interesting implications for it, and that's that they're going to be verifying your ID. So if you're going
So
to have
is this required,
I
or is
think
it
it's only for the blue ticks, but this
right?
is because you're going to be getting monetized, and we'll get onto how monetization works later because people have raised some queries. The interesting part about this is that it sold off to an Israeli data collection firm.
Yeah, I mean, the Israelis have been doing a lot of tech stuff on this kind of front. So what that strikes me is that if you want to buy crypto through a regulated exchange, you have to do that whole thing where you take a photo of yourself. It's all part of the
Yes.
KYC requirements. So this would suggest that his plans to move into the financial sphere are reasonably well advanced. That he's taken the first step for the KYC process.
Yeah, and especially if you're setting up monetization channels, then Twitter could have its own blockchain technology.
Yes.
Like it could have its own Twitter currency.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense to use one of the existing ones rather than invent a new one, or possibly so it's probably going to either be Bitcoin or Doge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose he
So you
could
could use
invent
the
his own.
existing infrastructure, but you just rebrand it as the Twitter currency. Like you could
Mm.
use the Ethereum tech, but rebrand it with Xcoin, something like that.
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
So that might be what this is for.
Staggeringly,
But there
they
are
take it
oh,
down.
I can hear
And that
a thing playing. So yeah, that's what that's for. Weirdly enough, though, this has been pointed out. They don't require age verification for all users, and
Yes.
well, they there's been a bit of a debate at the moment about whether or not adult material websites should do that. So there's been a bunch of states. I think this is Louisiana. They've instituted age verification requirements for access to pornography websites.
Mm.
And the companies themselves, rather than house all of the information in a secure database, because there's a lot of money in that, they've made cost benefit calculations, just block it in that state and say,
Right.
your local legislator has blocked access to X amount of websites that you.
Teenage boys everywhere learn the value of a VPN.
Well, yeah, but the overall traffic to the websites has plummeted, which, you know,
Oh, it's
good thing in my opinion. But,
cutting off the boomers, basically, the ones who are actually allowed to watch it.
well, and also lots of the non-tech savvy Zoomers and the
Yes.
types that just don't know how those things work. So the companies themselves have gone, well, hang on a minute. We've made a cost benefit analysis here that we would like quite a few people that probably shouldn't be watching this have
Mm.
free access to it, so we can sell the inflated viewing figures to our prospective advertisers. So it's actually more expensive
Yeah,
to
that's a good
run
point.
the website in that state than it is to safely secure all of your ID stuff for the people that can actually watch it.
Yes, and there is actually quite a surprising amount of porn on Twitter.
That's what I was going to say, because if you look at Twitter, this isn't
Yeah.
the case for Twitter yet, but then Twitter's age requirement is 13.
Right.
Yeah. So they're going to institute age requirements and government ID verification.
Yes.
You can have porn on Twitter, but you only have to be 13 to use Twitter. It's a bit
Yeah.
of a strange inconsistency here. that
I must say, I never see it on my feed, but whenever I've used the search function to try and research a topic,
Mm.
if you put in a term, like a couple of segments ago, I was doing a segment on Haiti, so I put Haitian into my search thing.
Oh dear.
A
I
lot of
can
a
only-
lot of porn came up on that.
There's been a recent trend where a lot of these gimmick accounts that I've just muted now because one, they try and incessantly blackmail you into thinking that every woman's awful, which is just serving regime agitprop.
Not all of them.
well, most of the gimmick accounts that like,
No, not all women are awful.
no, exactly, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They've started now taking sponsorships from OnlyFans girls that like fake
Mm.
really extreme posts to then promote themselves underneath it, and you can see that loads of popular posts, the OnlyFans women have gamed the
Yes.
algorithm.
Yeah, I've
Like they'll
noticed that as
put
well.
like a seemingly unrelated reply or something, but you
Yeah.
can tell from the profile picture or the name or
Yeah, a weird enough reply that it sort of makes you click into it, and then
yeah.
and then you find
And
out it's an
then, yeah,
OnlyFans.
it's a clever marketing gimmick. So,
Yeah.
so that's everywhere. But you only have to be 13 for Twitter, but then they're going to make you age forever. I'm just pointing out it's a bit of a weird inconsistency.
Yes.
They need to fix that. So the next one that's happening, Block is being deleted. Now, I understand he's already had a bit of a back and forth with Matt Walsh saying we're going to replace it with something better. But Elon's
Whatever
saying
that is.
it's just not going to exist anymore except for DMs. Now, one, if you're getting those OnlyFans girls spam replying your popular posts, Block is very useful because it means they just can't do that. It deprives them of
Yeah.
the marketing strategy that they're going to use. But also, people have pointed out it's useful for stopping stalkers and the like. Like I use mute fairly frequently. If someone's just being a moron and they want to incessantly be a moron and waste their own time, then I'll just press mute because I don't have to see you and you don't realize I'm not seeing you. So you think you're owning the comms or whatever, but actually you're just terminally online and I get to gloat.
Yeah, I never used to bother with any of those until once you get your account up to a certain size. I mean, we're both sort of around the 20,000 mark. You get a lot of scammers and well, the OnlyFans girls and the crypto related stuff.
And also boomer spammers who want to definitely send you this one video that's convinced them of the New World Order.
Well, I don't really mind them so much, but the ones that are sort of definitely bots, I do a lot of blocking of that now.
Well,
So
it's just when it's unrelated and it's incessant, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
all right, calm down. I'm sure your Telegram chat really enjoys it, but like
yes.
I'm
No,
posting my
I don't mind those guys so much.
like it's like I've got photo roast potatoes here, and you're showing me how
Yeah,
Jacob Rees-Mogg is a stooge of the West. Like, cool, thanks for the info.
yeah.
Maybe not right now. So, but the idea that the block is going to go away, we don't know what he's replacing it with,
Yes, that's the thing.
and so it's pretty precarious. And when block is gone, what happens to your block list?
Presumably they come flooding back or something. I don't know.
Well, presumably they're
Or do they get converted into
all,
mutes? I don't know.
all on. Yeah. So there's,
Yeah.
if I've got all my ex-girlfriends on that list, I don't want them knowing what I'm up to.
Yeah.
Not excellent, but all right. So Jack, former Twitter CEO, agrees, and he says 100% mute only, and Elon says Jack understands. So it seems that the block feature is not being replaced by anything quite as permanent.
Yeah, I don't get the
Silly.
don't get the logic here, but I don't know. Let's see
No.
what they come out with.
No. And now for the bad news. This is all about monetization. So this is Ian Miles Chong, who is quite buddy with Elon. He spends a lot of time replying to him, and Elon replies to him, and fair enough. And he's saying X pays incredibly well, a complete game changer for creators and commentators. There's a bit of brown nosing here because obviously, if you're the one benefiting from the payment system, you're going to say how good the payment system is. The revenue sharing model is one that every other platform ought to adopt, but of course they won't because they're greedy. X is the future. Now, I agree with that in terms of there should be a value neutral, even though neutrality is a value, advertising model. You won't get that with ESGs and GARM and all of these ethical advertising strong arming boards. But Ian Miles Chong has posted his stats and he's doing very well for himself in early August. He got about $13,000 in mid-August, $7,000 in July, $16,000. So he's getting paid out for.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it is.
How many
good.
followers does he have?
He has. Let's hover over. 700,000 followers.
Oh, that
Right?
is quite a few. Yeah.
Well, you'd think that, but then
Are you monetized, Connor?
no, I don't get enough engagement.
Yeah, because I'm sort of hovering around the 4 million impressions a month level.
Yeah.
You need to be 5
I'm
million.
I'm about 2 and a bit. So
Yeah.
Carl, boss man, 45.5 million impressions, $188.
Right.
Something's up here.
Yes.
Something's very strange. And bear in mind, Carl has what, about 300,000
Oh,
followers?
so it's about the same as Mr. Chong.
He's about half of Ian Miles Chong's,
Right.
but hell of a lot of impressions. But even if he was half the followers and half the impressions,
Yes.
he's getting less than a tenth. Right? Bit weird.
Yes.
Why is Carl being so punished? And this isn't the only one. Tim Pool was saying 243 million impressions, $4,000. Now, Tim Pool has way higher than Ian Miles Chong. Tim Pool's at 1.7 million. So he's got a million more followers and a lot less money. bit of an odd trend. Laura Loomer as well. Now, Laura Loomer, very high up in the Trump campaign, banned off everywhere, 500,000 followers.
Very respectable.
Yes. And she's saying that she got a payout of $190. Very weird. And she's actually responding to Ashley Sinclair here. And Ashley Sinclair worked with the Babylon Bee, and she's got $6,000. But Ashley only has 700,000. Comparable to.
So I know with YouTube, it depends very much as to the type of adverts that get put on it. So finance is very highly scored, but I don't know, whatever else, nail bars or whatever isn't.
Yeah, so Laura Loomer is saying that, it's because these people are in the DeSantis camp. But I don't think that's true. Even though there is a bit of a correlation there, I don't think it's as myopic as whoever you support in the Republican primary is who is going to get paid.
Yeah, I don't think Twitter has enough staff anymore to go through and create those individual lists. It probably is an algorithm.
Yeah, and even though Elon is a DeSantis guy, obviously because he hosted DeSantis' launch campaign on X, first of all, I don't think it's as simple as Trump v. DeSantis. I think that's reduction.
Yeah, whether he's still a DeSantis guy, because when he did that, DeSantis was in a different place.
Yeah, he seems to be a bit more of a Vivek guy now.
Yes.
But in either sense, I think it's more likely that the advertisers are being a bit more discretionary about who they advertise with. And we're seeing that because Elon replied to Ian Miles Chong. He's confirmed that only verified views count, which is quite interesting. So only the people that view your posts that are also verified is who you get paid for. So it's not correlated to follower accounts, but who are the people also getting advertised on? Because you have to attract enough adverts for those verified viewers to see your tweets. So there is the ethical dimension in there of where certain advertisers will not be advertising.
Yes, I mean, it might not be as simple as only the verified users count, but it could be some standard metric which applies to the ratio of verified to total number of people that view it, because you don't want to pay people for bots. And basically, when he was buying this, he made a big thing about at least whatever percentage of the Twitter base was bots. So he can hardly then turn around to advertisers and say, "I need you to pay the standard rates."
Yeah.
Where he could get around it by saying, "Look, we're going to base the rate that you pay on people we know are absolutely true, and a standard metric between the ratio of people we absolutely know to be true to the rest of them."
Yeah, which is why he could also be instituting the government verification system. So he shores up his payment system as saying, well, here, advertisers, I know these are the amount of guaranteed human eyeballs looking at your stuff.
Yes.
But the problem is we know the advertisers are also ethically captured. So are they precluding certain accounts and content from being advertised on?
I mean, I just kind of see an opportunity in that, because if that is the way that it's being done, then that gives the possibility of being able to buy some cheap advertising from people on the right.
Yes.
For people on the right.
Yes. Yes. True. Yes. However, the issue with that is if your posts get seen at all. And we are now seeing Linda Yaccarino saying that that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to play this clip in the browser here.
Staggeringly, they take it down. And that reducing that hateful content from being seen is one of the best examples how X is committed to encouraging healthy behavior online. And today, I can confidently sit in front of you and say that 99.9% of all posted impressions are healthy.
How do you define healthy, though? Is porn healthy? Are conspiracy theories healthy?
You know, it goes back to my point about our success with freedom of speech, not reach. And if it is lawful, but it's awful, it's extraordinarily difficult for you to see it.
But how many millions of people follow Kanye West? Lawful, but awful. And he's allowed back on.
You know, Kanye, who hasn't rejoined the platform yet, but is planning to do so, will operate within the very specific policies that we have established, that we're clear on, that everyone who's watching this or listening on Spaces can access themselves. And we have an extraordinary team of people who are overseeing, hands on keyboards, monitoring all day, every day, to make sure that that 99.99% of impressions remain at that number. But we also have to remember what's at the core of free expression. You might not agree with what everyone is saying. We want to make it a healthy debate and discourse, but free expression at its core will really, really only survive when someone you don't agree with says something you don't agree with. And what a great place we would live in if we were able to return to a healthy, constructive discourse amongst people that we don't agree with.
So the banality of taking every position under the sun there might have sent you to sleep. However,
It feels to me that's a strong 3 steps forward and 1 step back type thing.
yes,
Because I do still want to acknowledge we are in a much, much better place than we were 2 years ago. We're in that awful, what that,
the Dryad.
yes, the JJ, yes, she was bloody awful.
Yeah, she was. However, what she's just said there is the exact phrase that the Dryad was parroting: freedom of speech, not freedom of reach.
Yes.
What that translates to is arbitrary, opaque, capricious persecution of things they don't like
Yeah.
under the guise of repressive tolerance. So you'll never know if you are being suppressed. You can only infer it, and you'll never know quite why. And it's coming up to election season, so we're going to see certain stories stop trending or certain accounts be locked out. Or
Yeah.
so new
yeah.
boss, same as the old boss, basically. Not
It's
great.
it's better, but it is 3 steps forward and 1 step back.
Well, yeah, we're coming
It's a
back.
shame.
We're coming back round. So
Yeah.
it was better. We're here. We're here. Well, I can see the roller coaster start dipping down now.
Yeah.
Not encouraging, but all right. So this is also coming down the pipe. They're hiring a senior software engineer, and this is so Aaron Roderick works at Twitter, and he works at the Disinfo Elections Information Operations, and he's looking for civic integrity and elections team lead. Do we have the actual document open, Jack, by any chance? No? Okay, no worries. So he's in there, it says in the thumbnail, are you passionate about building innovative projects that connect people and enable conversations on a global scale? Do you want to be part of a dynamic team that influences how the world communicates? As part of trust and safety engineering, we make the platform safe for millions of users working across safety tooling as well as the front-end product to build systems that protect conversational integrity. A number of projects that work on that under this role will work on will be related to civic integrity, information integrity, platform manipulation, and spam. So in there, they're talking about, in the actual document itself that we haven't got open, they're talking about election integrity, election misinformation.
The way we use the word safe these days.
Yes. It's
Bloody ridiculous.
to insulate you from things that the regime finds inconvenient. There's also, speaking of the regime, that's happening. So I've taken this screenshot from Bernie. She's currently got her account on private, so I hope that I haven't violated anything, but this seemed innocuous enough.
Yeah.
This is a screenshot of what the new, as of August 25th, interface is going to look like for anyone that's in the EU. Because the EU are passing their Digital Services Act. So it was passed last year and it's going to come into effect. And there's now going to be a Stasi-like function where you can press on the side of any tweet, report this as illegal content in the EU. And the details of this bill are quite interesting. So they've got 2 pages here. So the Digital Services Act package focuses on content moderation and targeted advertising, quote, to create a safer digital space where fundamental rights of users are protected and to establish a level playing field for businesses. A core concern is the trade and exchange of illegal goods, services, and content online. Online services are also being misused by manipulative algorithmic systems to amplify the spread of disinformation and for other harmful practices. Now, they're currently funding with 1.2 billion euros a consultation for initiatives on how to tackle election misinformation.
So the AFD, basically.
Yes. Medical misinformation and anti-LGBTQ hate. So that's what's going to go in there. So you basically, if you say things that we can't say on YouTube, you'll be taken down via Twitter.
I can't really blame Twitter for this one because it's EU law. I mean, they're
complying with it.
Yeah, they just don't have a choice. I mean, it's just another reminder of how awful the EU is. But
sure,
but yeah,
but absolutely. But it's also a couple of things. Number one, the overall user experience on Twitter is just going to get worse.
Yes,
because even if you aren't in the EU, people that you might follow in the EU might be subject to this law, so they'll start censoring themselves.
Yeah.
And 2, remember the legislative framework is symbiotic, and Linda Yaccarino works at the WEF, where they get lots of their marching orders from. So
yeah, I mean, all the time I get emails saying that your post is illegal under German law.
I get the
something.
same as well.
Yeah.
At which point I just put my fist in the air and go, right, I'm doing something proper, And then there's just this last one as well. What they're doing is they're creating a digital ledger of public shaming, because as part of the Digital Services Act, oh, wrong button. They're doing a transparency database of content moderation decisions. So what they do is that any time a ban happens,
Yeah.
the social media platform must publish the reason as to why. And so if they don't ban people, they get fined. When they do ban people, they've got to publicly post the reasons. That's useful to us, but one, they're probably not going to be truthful about it because they weren't truthful about taking down the Hunter
Well,
Biden
they
app.
just say something like hate or misinformation or
Exactly. And then now there's like a public wall where forever your name will be tarnished, particularly if you use your verified ID to access your blue tick account.
Mm.
So there's going to be a permanent public digital ledger of scarlet letters
Yeah.
from the regime against your social media account.
Mind you, I was on the original Hope Not Hate list. I quite like that.
Quite a few people that we know are, aren't they?
Yeah.
But that's a badge of honor.
Yes.
But the problem is, as soon as they start consulting on things like the online safety bill,
Yeah.
or in Australia, they've got pretty much the exact same legislation,
Yeah.
we're probably going to be seeing that similar little pop-up
Yes.
that the EU are going to see. So overall, Twitter's user experience, some people are going to get paid more. Some people are going to get paid nothing. Other people might be permanently tarnished with reputational damage from the European Union. And user interface is trending towards the negative. So we'll keep you posted, but Twitter's golden age seems to be transitioning into one where the metal is quite a bit less precious.
Tarnished.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, why not visit our website where you can get the podcast live, in full, uncensored, and for free from 1 o'clock UK time every weekday. And while you're there, for as little as £5 a month, you can get access to all of our premium content. For example, Dan's series Brokenomics, where he and Carl discuss the observable managed decline in our civilization. And if you'd like to see what the rest of us are putting out, you can follow Dan at @KingBingo_ on Twitter and @LotusEaters_com on Twitter. Until next time, goodbye.